Welcome all of you. My name is Dr. Muhammad Fiaz from University of Education, Dijika campus. Rice, which is an annual grass, belongs to the genus Oryza that includes 20 wild species and 2 cultivated species. Oryza sativa, which is oftenly called Asian rice, and Oryza glaberrima, which is also called African rice. While Oryza sativa is the most commonly grown species throughout the rice growing world today. The rice plant consists of the roots, stem, leaves, and panicles. Rice passes through the 10 stages during its growth cycle: germination and emergence, seedling, tillering, stem elongation, panicle initiation, panicle development, flowering, milk gram, dough grain, and mature grain stages. Traditional varieties like basmati requires about 150 days for growth to reach the mature grain stage, whereas the modern high-yielding varieties, very early maturing varieties, can be harvested in as few as 90 days after sowing. In our country, like wheat, rice is not cultivated in all parts of the country. 90% of the areas under cultivation is in the province of Punjab and Sindh. In the province of Punjab, area under rice cultivation is increasing, whereas uh, a decrease in the area under rice cultivation is the province in the province of Sindh. There is no area to compete with rice cultivation than the district of Gujranwala and Sialkot. Beside these, other districts such as Lahore, Narowal, Kasur, Sheikhupura, Okada, Hafizabad are included in the second number, where Sargodha, Hafizabad, Jhang, Toba Tek Singh possesses secondary places in rice cultivation. There are over 50 insect pest species damaging rice plant in Pakistan. Although the majority does very little destruction, only 10 species are of major economic importance and can cause economic damage of about 25 to 30%. Few of the species that were earlier considered as minor pests have presently become major pests, like leaf folders, plant and leaf hoppers. This was the little introduction about rice crop. Let's move on to the main topic, where we will discuss major insects pests of the rice crop. The main types of insects which attack on rice are divided into four categories: borer pests, sucking pests, defoliator pests, and non-insect pests. There is a long list of insects ranging from yellow stem borer, uh, gall midges to earhead bug, brown plant hoppers, thrips, white leaf hoppers, green leaf hoppers, rice field crab, paddy mite, panicle mice, mite, yellow hairy caterpillar, rice hispa, paddy skipper, leaf roller, paddy swimming caterpillar, and the list is go on. But we will focus on the major insect pest of rice, which we really need to learn and understand about their damage and control. The insect, there are almost several insects feed on the rice, but stem borers are considered the most important rice pests. In particular, Scirpophaga incertulus and Scirpophaga inotata. These two are most important. Stem borers uh, usually comprised more than 90% of the borer population in rice. The onset of flooding and stem elongation provided a more favorable environment for stem borer. The rice stem borer, Scirpophaga incertulus, infesting the plant from seedling to maturity is one of the main problems and yields limiting factors in the rice fields. The yellow stem borer is widely spread across the country and is far more abundant than any other species. The adults are yellowish white with orange yellow front wings and they have sexual dimorphism. The male moth is bigger than the female moth is bigger than the male and has a centrally situated black spot on each of the forewing. The females also have a prominent tuft of brownish silken hair at the tip of their abdomen. Moths are attracted to light in the night during March to April and October to November. Male moths are small with pale yellow forewings and without black spots in the center and abdomen slender without tufts of hairs, while female moths are bigger. Forewings are bright yellow and a prominent black spot in the center of each and the anal end with the tufts of yellowish hair. Eggs are creamy colored, flat, oval, laid in masses and covered with buff colored hairs on the tip of the leaf. The body of the larva is cream or pale white or yellow colored and the head is reddish brown. Pupa turns dark brown just before adult emergence and pupates at the base of the plant. The description of the adult you already have covered in the previous slide. Larva feeds inside the stem, causing drying of the central shoot called dead heart. In young plants, drying of the panicle, which is also called white ear in older plants. October to December has been found conducive for the multiplication most of the insect. Young larvae bore into the central shoots of young seedlings and tillers and feeds internally on growing shoot causing dead heart symptom, which, which is also called drying of the central shoots and interrupting movement, water and nutrients. At boot leaf stage or earhead stage, the larva bores into the topmost node and feed at the base of the earhead. And succulent earhead dries and becomes white ear or chaffy earhead, and such earheads are easily come out when they are pulled out. These are the symptoms of dead heart and chaffy earhead side by side. Talking about biology and ecology of paddy stem borer, females lays about 15 to 18 eggs in a mass near the tip on the upper surface of the tender leaf blade and covers them with buff colored hairs and scales. A female lays about 2 to 3 egg masses and the incubation period ranges from 5 to 8 days. The newly hatched pale white larva enters the leaf sheath and feeds for 2 to 3 days and bores into the stem near the nodal region. Usually only one larva is found inside a stem, but occasionally 2 to 4 larvae may also be noticed. The larvae become full grown in 33 to 41 days and measures about 20 millimeter long. It is white or yellowish white with a well developed prothoracic shield. Before pupation, it covers the exit hole with thin webbing and then forms a white silken cocoon in which it pupates. The pupa is dark brown and measures 12 mm long. The pupal period varies from 6 to 10 days and may get prolonged depending on the weather conditions. The entire life cycle is completed in 50 to 70 days. In management practices, first of all, we would like to discuss cultural practices. Cultural methods to control insects involve crop production practices that have a dual purpose of crop production and insect suppression. Farmers have developed these practices through many years of trial and errors, and these practices have been handed down through generations. Primary cultural control practices are those done specifically to control insects, such as draining a field to control the aquatic caseworm larva or planting a trap crop for stem borers. Secondary practices are those that are specifically done for crop husbandry, such as land preparation and weeding, but which also happen to minimize pest buildup. Rice culture has a rich source of folklore regrading indigenous cultural practices. Cultural control practices that offer potential control of rice insects include mixed cropping, planting methods, which can be transplanting versus direct seeding, planting age of seedling at the time of transplanting, water management, fertilizer management, crop rotation, number of rice crops per year, planting time, synchronous versus asynchronous planting over a given area, trap crop, tillage, weeding, and growth duration of the crop. Closed plant spacing or direct seeding give a dense plant population, which does not reduce white stem borer infestation but does help to reduce yield loss. Applying nitrogenous fertilizers at the appropriate time may also reduce yield loss. Tillers affected during the vegetative phase could recover and compensate for the damage. Under the same degree of stem borer infestation, application of urea granules, slow releases, gives a higher yield. In biological control, the action of indigenous predators, parasites, and insect pathogens forms the cornerstone for modern IPM programs on rice. Although hundreds of insect species feed on rice, only 8% are considered as major pests. This indicates that over the thousands of years of rice cultivation, a relatively stable association between rice insects and their natural enemies has evolved. When this stability is upset, as is the case in the destruction of predators by insecticides, insect outbreaks occur. Classical and inundative biological control approaches tried so far have had little success in rice. However, research studies have shown that indigenous natural enemies have a strong impact on rice pest populations, and their conservation is an essential part of the rice IPM programs. Many species of predators, parasites, and pathogens have been shown to attack rice insect pests. A wide range of predatory species attack the eggs and small larvae of stem borers before they enter the stem of the rice plant. Some important predators are like coccinellid beetles and other species has been discussed. as well as ants and a dozen other predators prey upon stem borers larvae. Egg parasites are more important than the larval or pupal parasites, and egg parasitism may reach up to 90% at harvest. In order for populations of egg parasites to build up early in the season, early insecticides application should be avoided. Infestation may be reduced by cutting the stubble very low during harvest, destroying larvae before they move to the lower part of the diapauses. However, at harvest, 40 to 80% of the larvae have already reached the lower part of the stem. Plowing the stubble immediately after harvest could destroy the larva. However, this may not be economically feasible unless the field is to be planted again. Attracting the moth using lamps has also been suggested, but experiments show that mass trapping by Petromax lamps is not effective as the majority of moths attracted had already laid eggs in the field and it required many lamps to be effective. When modern rice varieties were introduced in the 1960s, insecticides were one component in the package of technologies of the Green Revolution in Asia. Chlorinated hydrocarbons were first used and then phosphates, and recently the carbamates have been used. However, insecticides are often too expensive for resource poor farmers to use. Even where farmers can afford insecticides, the health hazards may outweigh the economic benefits. Due to the variable regulations around registration of pesticides, there are many specific chemical control recommendations. So, there is a list of chemicals that can be used against the stem borer in rice plant. So, this was all about stem borer of rice crop. Take care.